Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ho, ho, ho. Hello, ho, ho. Yeah. Hi, I'm Steve Saylor. I'm blind, and if you're wondering how I'm able to play video games if I'm blind, if you take a look at the video here, you can be able to see exactly what I see when I'm playing video games. Today's video is a little bit different, and if you indulge me a little bit, we're going to be not talking about games today, and if you saw from the title, I'm going to be talking about something completely different from gaming altogether, but I wanted to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I'm extremely passionate about, and there's just a really cool accessibility twist to it, and that's Disney Plus's version of Hamilton the musical. You've heard of Hamilton. You may not have seen the play yet, or you've maybe only heard like one or two songs, or you probably heard the album more times than you can count, and you've probably watched now the Disney Plus version more times than you can count. And I'm right along sort of in that far end of the spectrum. But I really wanted to discuss this in an accessible way because honestly, watching Hamilton on Disney Plus, and I'll say it, is the most accessible Broadway experience I have ever had. And I want to give a little bit of a background. I grew up basically on the stage. I loved acting as a little kid. I wanted to get up on stage and act so much that I kept begging my parents to let me try out for plays and audition and stuff like that. I loved it, and even throughout high school, I joined as many plays as I could, or at least that I could audition for. I was head of the drama committee in my final year of high school, and it was a blast. But I've always loved seeing plays. I loved watching them any chance I could, but the problem that I always had was a lot of times there, like in theaters, there are accessible seating, but mostly for those who are in need of wheelchairs and need a little bit more extra room to get around. And there wasn't really any accessible seating for those who are visually impaired, or sometimes even there's not even an audio described version of what's happening on stage, like some theaters would. So a lot of times, in order for me to be able to see a play, I had to sit as close to the stage as possible. And unfortunately, a lot of Broadway plays that I wanted to see, the tickets for front row were extremely expensive. To kind of give some context, this is generally how I see the play. It's kind of small. It's hard for me to be able to see people emote. I can see broad strokes of actors parading around on stage and dancing and singing, but I never got to see the nuance of each actor's performance and the nuance of each piece of choreography, because this is what I'd be watching, and this is how I'd be watching pretty much every play I was, regardless of how close I was to the stage. I've often joked that in order for me to be able to see the stage and see the play properly, I'd have to be on stage in order to do that. And then when Disney kind of not only created a film version of the original stage play, and you get to see close-ups of actors as they were emoting and the emotion that was on their faces and the nuance in their performances, and getting to see angles that I would not have been able to see, that to me was so cool. But on top of that, Disney Plus has subtitles, so you can be able to watch along without sound. And actually, I was able to follow along and actually read some of the lyrics and learn some of the lyrics that I had heard from in the album version of the musical, but I never got to see the lyrics of. And I learned so much just from watching the subtitles version. But then to top it all off, to even add an extra set of accessibility, Disney added an audio described track. All the original shows and movies that are on Disney Plus are also audio described. I didn't realize until literally just when I was researching this video that there are over 578 titles that have an audio description. Going back from older movies and older TV shows, all of Disney Plus originals are all audio described, and Hamilton is no different. Now, Here's an example of how the audio description sounds when you're watching it.
New York City, June 2016.
Thank you, and enjoy my show.
In the Richard Rodgers Theater, the empty stage is overlooked by a series of wooden balconies. A man in a velvet tailcoat and white breeches, Aaron Burr, steps into a spotlight. The stage lights turn blue, and members of the chorus crisscross in front of Hamilton, who watches them go by, tentatively adjusting his long brown coat. 1776. Burr approaches, engrossed in a book. New York City.
Pardon me, are you Aaron Burr, sir?
So that would come up when there's sort of a break or a pause in between songs, but also anytime that's sort of like a repeating of a chorus, and they would sort of repeat, here's what's actually happening on stage. Now, it doesn't describe everything that's happening, and there's definitely some things that I wish would have been described. There's one point where King George, when he says that he's so blue, and the light that's on him is not blue, but then he stamps his foot, and the light immediately changes to a blue color. That isn't audio described, and that's kind of difficult to even add in that kind of audio description without sort of interrupting the lyrics, and you're missing some of the words that are being spoken. So I get that that's sort of the balancing act that you have to take with an audio described version of a play when there's a lot of stuff happening all at once on a stage. So with all of that, when I finally rolled credits on Hamilton the musical, not only was it an emotional experience for me to be able to watch this play happen and see it as others saw it in the theater, but I got to experience a play for the first time in a way that allowed me to enjoy the whole experience, not just from a distance or from a seat that normally would be fine for most people. I finally understood and felt the actors' performances in such a way that I never would have thought possible. When I watched my favorite song in Hamilton one last time, seeing George Washington, seeing Chris Jackson, the guy who plays George Washington, seeing him act writing his final letter and his resignation as president, I burst into tears because that performance finally hit me. I was always watching it or listening to it from a distance, so I never really understood how the actor was, what his emotions were like. And watching this and seeing just George Washington sob at the end of that number, I was bawling too. But I want to say to Lin-Manuel Miranda and to the cast and crew who helped make this happen, if you're even watching this, I want to give a huge thank you. You allowed a blind man to be able to enjoy Broadway as you intended, in a way that was more accessible than me sitting in a seat in the Richard Rodgers Theater. But enjoying Hamilton in my own living room in a way that I never would have thought possible allowed me to appreciate this musical for the masterpiece that it is. Thank you. This is the best, most accessible Broadway experience I could ever have. So that's it. I know it's kind of a little bit more of a personal story, and I'll be talking about gaming soon, but I wanted to at least talk about this because this has been something that's been on my mind for the past couple of days. Like, it's a centuries long form of entertainment, and I want us to enjoy it So I hope this does become a standard. So that's kind of it. That's kind of my soapbox, as it were. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, click the like button. If you want to see more of my videos, and I'll be getting back to gaming soon, don't worry. If you can click the subscribe button, that would mean a lot. And if you want to be notified when new videos come out, make sure you hit the bell notification icon. Thank you so much for watching, and go see Hamilton. See Hamilton on Disney Plus, because it's the best. It's awesome. So thank you, and I'll see you next time in the next video. As always, I remain obediently yours.